Hi guys, I hope you're well. If you don't know who I am, my name's Thomas Blakemore and I'm a teacher here in Dubai. In this video, I'm going to be talking through an approach that can really support you with your teacher interviews. Now, this doesn't just apply to teacher interviews, but as I am a teacher and I've been through many teaching interviews, it makes sense to talk about my approach with teacher interviews. So this approach has been integrated into the guides that I've written recently. So one is all about teaching in Dubai and how to get a job here out in the UAE, not just Dubai. And the other is this one here, which is all about getting your first job as a teacher, because the process can be quite daunting initially. So feel free to check out Teachtraveltriumph.com, where you will find those guides. So let's jump into the strategy and acronym, and it's STARD. STARD is an acronym. Let's talk through S. S would be the situation that you've sort of been put into and sort of given a bit of an outline, a bit of a story to share what the sort of scenario was and how it came about. If you want to check out that video that I'm due to upload soon, it's all about this 6-story secret and can really help you with a range of different things and thinking about the stories that you might want to share in interview. T is for tasks. So if that was a scenario, what did you need to do as a teacher? So A from that leads on, and A is, okay, if that was the task, then what did you actually do? And then from there, R is the result. So you've done something, so what is the actual result? And then D is, like I said before, not always available, but is there any data to back up what you've said? So what I wanted to do from here is talk about some of the things that I have talked about in interview prior to this with some example interview questions. I'll probably make a video at another point talking about a range of different example teacher interview questions. So let's jump into one question, and that might be, how have you been able to support additional adults in your classroom? So for me, I'll talk about the scenario, and the scenario would be, okay, so during my second year as a teacher, I was given a teaching assistant who was brand new to the upper key stage 2 scenario, and they didn't feel very comfortable with leading some of the interventions, which was quite challenging because they're really important. From there, what I had to do is try and make them feel a little bit more comfortable and supported with the process of leading interventions. To do that, I made sure that we had regular meetings, and during those meetings, we started to talk about some of the things that they would be doing during the interventions. I would share some planning with them, along with some additional resources to really think about how they can benefit the children. We also spoke about some of the example ways in which she could talk to children, having a bit of a role play activity where I was the child and she was the TA, and over time we found that she was more comfortable leading those interventions, which was great. So when it comes to data, it can be quite challenging to have there, so it can really be beneficial to have that in a bit of a portfolio that you've probably been told about before. So here you could say these highlighted children were part of the intervention, and as a result, I was then able to help them with their progress and they attained secure at the end of the year. Something along those lines. Now, another question I haven't had, but based on my experience recently with a new child who is English as an additional language, EAL, a question might be, how would you support EAL children? And this might be something that trainee teachers would be able to answer, because I find lots of EAL children in classrooms. So for me personally, the scenario was, well, recently in term 2B, the last term, I had a new child who was from a Latin American country. Don't want to say the exact name on YouTube. From there, he was brand new to English and only had sort of common phrases. So my job as a teacher was to try and make them more familiar with English as they progressed into their next year group. To do that, we implemented a range of different strategies, such as dual language resources. We had an intervention that would support with the phonics building. And then from there were also some preloading or front-loading language sessions that would help him start to understand some of the language in advance, so that when they came to the lesson, they already had a good understanding of what language was being used, so it didn't feel alien to them. Results, don't really have any data for this one other than the fact that their test scores improved, but from there, the results were that they started to use basic common phrases within the end of term 2B, and then from there were able to use some of those common phrases and sentences in their writing. Again, it would be beneficial to have that writing in front of you so that you can share the progress from point A to point B. But then from there, the data, I know from me personally, actually being truthful, that the data has shown that although they only got 2 or 3, I think it was 3 during their first mental maths test. Actually, now that they've learned some of the initial language, they're now able to get 6 or 7, which is actually a really big improvement. So that's a genuine answer to a question that I would share. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like it. That's always really appreciated, and share it with other people who you think might find this useful. If you are new around here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, I also have my guides available on my website, teachtraveltriumph.com, so feel free to check those out too. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Until then, I'm out.